So today we'll be talking about backups. Now, with self-hosting, it's important to be aware that you are hosting your own data, right? You are self-hosting. So that means that you are the one responsible for the data being there and available and, recoverable in case anything happens. That's why I kind of wanted to talk about backups before we get into installing applications, because backups are a really important thing to deal with whenever you're self-hosting. It's important to have them. It's important for those to happen. Just in case something happens, you have a place where we can restore from. So to that extent, I've spent a bit of time to kind of document the backup process. I added this processes thing in the docs, and I added details about backups here. Right, these can kind of go along with this video. I'll add the video to this afterwards. For backups, you need an S3 bucket to kind of have a place where you can back up to. And you could self-host that as well, right? You can install TrueNas with MinIO or MinIO or whatever. And then you can have that as a place where all your backups can happen, right? You can back up to that. But you need to acknowledge that with that, you still have problems in your setup. It's definitely better than nothing. So if you cannot afford having like a cloud based S3 bucket, it's better to have this than nothing. But in case of a major disaster, right? Let's say your house collapses upon itself and all your belongings just kind of, disappear. It would be nice to have a different place where your backups are stored to as well. And you can do this locally, right? Like, let's say you have a friend that can kind of hold the machine for you. You can kind of replicate your backups to his address as well. But this is a bit of an advanced setup. So I would suggest to just go with the cloud provided S3 bucket. Right, I kind of talk a bit about this here. In our video today, we'll be going with the local S3 buckets where it will install like TrueNas and MinIO and then whatever. But even for myself, I think I'm going to move to a cloud provider for the S3 buckets. I've been happy with Hetzner. They're pretty cheap. They offer an S3 bucket that can hold up to 1 terabyte of data with €5 per month or $6. And in my opinion, that's okay. Just to have that peace of mind that, regardless of what happens, you still have some backups of your data somewhere accessible for you. So we'll be setting up the local S3 provider. We'll use TrueNas, and we'll do that primarily because I don't want to invest more money into this than I've already done. I had one of these machines lying around, so I just kind of installed TrueNas on it and gave it another kind of SSD for storage. But even that's not ideal. What I've been doing so far is I got myself one of these HP Elite Desk machines. Right, this is like a small form factor machine. The advantage with it is that you can put in it 2 3.5-inch hard drives. So you can do kind of a mirror between the hard drives. So if one hard drive fails, you still have the data in the other hard drive. And that's kind of how I've been running my backups for the past couple of years, I'd say. But again, just for peace of mind, I'll be moving these to the cloud sometime soon, since, again, you never know what's going to happen, right? That's kind of why this is also referred to as a disaster recovery. In case of a disaster, whatever the scope of that is, we can recover. And backups are also going to help us in case something gets corrupted, right? In case something happens with your system, you still have some backups that you can recover from. So that's kind of the purpose of the backups. Now, as I said in this document, for cloud providers, I did test out Hetzner, and it has worked fine. Like I haven't had any problems with the setup. And this is a very simple kind of process, right? You just kind of sign up for a Hetzner account, you go to the object storage page, and then you just create a bucket, right? You have a create bucket button, you click on it and you give it a name and a region. That's about it. You will need to manage your credentials, create a credential, and you'll get an access key and a secret key. And these will need to be set up in Vaultwarden, right? We'll deal with that once we get there. The backup process and setting up the buckets is pretty much the same across local providers and cloud providers. It's just that with the local providers, we'll need to do a bit more work to get TrueNas to a state where it can accept our backups, basically. Let's just get started with it. I'm going to connect to my TrueNas install. I have it on this IP. And we can connect to it. And I'm not going to save that for now. We'll have to do a bit of work for that. And once landed here, I guess the only thing to do is just create a storage pool. So I'm going to create a backup pool, and I'm going to do this as a stripe. So basically, the ideal setup is mirror, where you have two disks that are mirrored between each other, especially for backups. In my case, I don't have two disks. I just have one SSD. So I'll just put that here. I'm just going to click on save and go to review, because these are things I'm not doing anything with them. And then just create pool. I'm going to confirm and click on continue. And this is going to kind of set things up for us. We'll just give it a minute. Okay. So it's warning us that we have no redundancy. Again, we're doing this just for the purposes of this demonstration, right? If you do want to run backups at home, get yourself a machine that can hold two disk drives in it. You'll need actually two disk drives and an SSD for the operating system. So like 3, I guess. But whatever. This is enough for us. Okay. Now we do need to do some setup here. So if we go back to the documentation, we have some prep work to do with TrueNas. Primarily because currently, if we try to access this over HTTPS, right, let me just try to open that in a new tab, it's going to give us the security warnings and things like that. So we want to ensure that we have encrypted communication between ourselves and TrueNas, and as well between our workloads and TrueNas, right? Like the cluster must be able to communicate through this with an encrypted connection. So for that, let's just open up our dev folder and just the foundation here. So I'm going to do a git pull. I've done quite a few changes since the last time we talked about, primarily around docs. So I added all the documentation for backups and restore. I made some small tweaks as well, like the Barman plugin will now use the official chart, which wasn't available at the time when I did this, but now because it's available, we can just use that. I made an update to Authentic. We also have an update to Longhorn, right? We have a new version available, so we'll go over that in this document as well as some small tweaks to the Longhorn deployment. To kind of help set things up quicker. But let's open this up and I'll put it to the side a bit. And let's just go through the doc. So the first thing we need is some external SSL. Right, these are basically external certificates that we can kind of attach to other workloads in our home. I have this part of networking, so we have like the external SSL here with the configuration for it and whatnot. I will open the HomeHub gconfig. This is where we need to kind of set this up. And this is where we already have our setup so far. And I'm just going to copy this because I'm happy with the setup. I'll just put it here between these. So I have basically what we're doing here is we're creating an issuer for the NAS subdomain and two certificates, one backup and one s3.backup. And these are going to be issued by this NAS issuer. Basically, right, we will have like a different endpoint for the S3 provider and for TrueNas as well. So that's why we have two certificates there. So I'm just going to go to networking external SSL. I'm going to open up freelance as well because I haven't done that already. So I'll just connect to the cluster and I'll put it to the side just as before. We can just install this, I guess. Right, just make sure you save your file with these changes in, and then we can go and just install this in the cluster. Right, and now we should have this hub ext SSL namespace. And this, right, with this, we only install certificates. We don't really have any workloads as such. There's like no pod that serves this or whatever. We just have the certificates. We can see them if we go to Server Manager certificate. We can see ext backup, NAS interca. This is the intermediary certificate for the NAS subdomain. And then the S3 backup and backup certificate. Now, there is another thing that we can do to just kind of, make this actually work, right? We want to reach these through this. So we can go to the general config again, or to the HomeHub gconfig, and we can tell Pi-hole that we have some custom DNS entries where backup NAS at home points to 192.168.69.254. This is the IP of TrueNAS. And S3 backup NAS at home points to 192.168.69.254, the IP of TrueNAS. So with those added, we can go to DNS and we can run an update on DNS as well, just to kind of add these to it, right? Have these available in it, these new DNS entries. So I'm going to do an upgrade. Let's just check on our pods. Right, Pi-hole is going to restart because of these new records. So I'll give it a bit of time. There we go. I'll check on external DNS as well. Usually when I restart Pi-hole and I'm kind of actively working on the cluster, I also restart external DNS just to make sure that all the records are up to date. Right, we can see that it's actually creating them now. It didn't give us the all records are in sync and whatever. So that's okay. And now I guess we should be able to do https backup.nas.athome. And we get the same kind of potential security risk ahead because we haven't added the certificates to TrueNAS. So let's go back to TrueNAS, and I have this part of our docs here. We can add these certificates under the credentials certificate section. So let's just go there, credentials, certificates. And we can, I guess, import a certificate. We can just call this backup. We just need a certificate and the private key. And those we can get from the cluster. So if we go to secrets in the hub ext SSL namespace, we have ext backup and this ext-s3.backup. Backup, we can get this TLS CRT. Right, we can just click on that to write that show button there, I guess. Copy this, put it in the certificate, and then do the same with the TLS key. Right, then we can just do import. And I guess we can also do add to trusted store, although TrueNas itself isn't connecting to anything in our home network, so it's kind of whatever. And let's import the S3 backup as well. Right, this is the other one that we have here, ext_s3.backup, not ca, tls.crt, and tls.key. Okay. So we have these added, right? We can see the common name there. And now I think the next step is to actually trust this. So in system general, if we go here, general settings, I think it's under GUI. You can say use backup as the SSL certificate. And I'm also going to check this HTTP to HTTPS redirect. That should be checked by default, but that's okay. And it's going to tell us that it needs to restart to apply this, and that's okay. Now if we go back to this one with backup NAS at home, it's able to connect now. I guess it was restarting. So now we have the HTTPS connection. We don't have any certificate errors or anything like that. So we can connect to this. And now I can also save the password, although I would want to change my password. I'm gonna generate the password, copied, and change password, and I'm gonna save that here as well. So now if I were to, let me actually maybe open a private page to check this out. So what is it? Backup NAS at home. And let's fill that in. And it connects. Okay, so the save password is correct. Now we can just install the application. So if we go to Discover Apps, we can just search for MinIO. MinIO. No. We have it here, so we can just click on Setup Pool to install, confirm and agree. I'm going to set the backup pool as the destination for the storage for this, I guess. So I'll give it a minute to do its thing. Okay. So root user, I'm going to set admin as my root user. I don't know why that's hidden. For the root password, I'm going to do the same thing, generate password copied and paste it there. API is on 9000, console is on 9002. And we're going to put here the domain of S3 backup NAS at home. And for the certificate, I'm going to use the S3 backup. And I think that's it. I'm just going to click on install. Okay, so now that it's running, we can try to access it. So S3 backup NAS at home, and the port, right, 9002, and it connects correctly. The certificate set is okay, and now I can use the credentials that I generated. I didn't copy anything else, so my clip or password should still be okay. And I'm gonna save this as well. And now that we're here, basically all we kind of need to do is create a bucket and create the credentials. This is where it kind of gets a bit weird, but we can say we can create a backup bucket, I guess, or backups. Maybe that's a bit more relevant. And with the bucket created, we do need to create credentials to access the bucket. And for this, we need the MinIO client. So I'm going to open a console and do sudo pacman-s MinIO client, I think it was, right? MinIO client and just install it. And now with this installed, we should have this mcli command, and it shows up. So let's do this, right? I'm gonna do mcli alias set backup for https s3 backup as at home. And we're not using the console port, not 9002. All of the interactions with the kind of S3 service itself is going to be over port 9000. Slight correction. We're going to run the command like this. Then it's going to ask us for the username, password, and it's going to say that it was added successfully. So what we can do is run this command now, where we can generate the access keys for the backup target, and this is going to generate for us an access key and a secret key. With those, we can go to Vaultwarden app at home, and we're going to set this in the kind of cluster secret store, where we also set the OIDC stuff before. So I'm just going to log in here. I think I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to say cluster, or maybe general stuff for the cluster. And now I'm going to create a new login. And for this, we're going to set the username as the access key and the password as the secret key. And we're going to say S3 backup. I'm going to put it in the general folder. And saved. Okay. Right, we now have this item ID here, which is where the credentials are stored. And this is the same thing that you'd need to do with the cloud provider as well. So even if we go to, let's say, just open the backup docs here. So even if we go with the cloud provider and you kind of go through these steps and you get to this stage where you generate credentials, you're going to get the same thing, an access key and a secret key. And those you'll just need to kind of, add them to Vaultwarden. Same thing, access key as a username and secret key as a password. And this is what we'll use when we actually enable backups in the cluster. But that's kind of all the prep work that we had to do on TrueNas. Right, if we go back to backups, we can then continue with setting up the backups themselves. So for Longhorn, we'll need to do this in the HomeHub storage definition. So let's just start with that. So I'm going to do Codium HomeHub storage. And I'm going to open this to the side here, I guess. And I'm just going to copy this and add it here. And this basically enables the backups. For the Bitwarden secret key, we need to get the item ID from here. So I'm just going to copy this and just put it here. All right, that's the one that we have. We need to get the CA cert. And that's just in a minute. Let me just check here. The endpoint URL is correct, right? This is the one where it is accessible. Our bucket name is called backups though. And our bucket path, I'm going to set it as Longhorn. Right, this must have this trailing slash, otherwise the Longhorn backups are just going to fail. We have some configurations for the backup schedule. So kind of when we want the backups to start, how often to take a full backup, and how many backups to retain. This is kind of how I set it up for myself. So basically at 3 a.m. daily, it starts a backup. It does incremental backups, and every 7th backup, it does a full backup. And it retains 14 of those backups. Now, the only thing that we need to do is set the CA cert. So if we go to cert at home, we can download this certificate. I don't know if we had this, we had it already. But we can download this, and then we can do a cat on it, download c cert, and then just copy this, and let's close these. I'll just put it here, and you see that it's not okay, or the indentation is not okay. You press Control and the closing square bracket thing on the keyboard. We do that twice, and then it's indented correctly in the file, right? We need it to be kind of at this level, and that's all we need to do to enable Longhorn backups, right? Or define that we want Longhorn backups to exist. And now we can go to storage and core, right? This is where we have the Longhorn installed from. Because we do need to update it to have the backups. We'll now actually do two things. We'll enable backups, but at the same time we'll also upgrade Longhorn, because in the meanwhile a new version has showed up. So we'll just move to hub storage so you can keep an eye out on how things are happening there. I can also open the Longhorn UI. Just before the upgrade, we want to check that things are okay here, and they seem to be okay. So I'm just gonna run this command, and this should now start the upgrade. So we can watch it here. And this, oh, it already kind of added it there. Okay, we'll check it. Right, it started failing now because these are kind of restarting. So let's just wait for it to finish, and then we'll check all of this out. Okay, so about things are still kind of coming up. Well, let's say about 2 minutes later, Longhorn has updated itself. Now, if I refresh the page, we can see the v1.10.0 here, right? That's the latest version. And there are some things we need to do as part of the upgrade. So if we switch to the volume page, we can see that there's a new engine image available. So usually we want to kind of stay on top of this and just have the latest image. So we can just do an upgrade engine. We can say upgrade to this one, and it's just going to update all of them to use the new engine. Okay. And then under advanced, we have engine images here, just because, right, we kind of moved all of our volumes to use this new one. We can delete the old engine from here. And we'll see that this is actually deleting the old engine image pods from the cluster. And we'll be left with these two from here that are the new ones. So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing a Longhorn upgrade. But the important part is backup targets. So this shows up as available, right? That's kind of what we want to see. That's kind of it, I guess. If we go to backups, there's no data now, just because there's nothing there. But if we refresh this, it didn't create anything. Okay. One thing to check as well after you enable backups is that you have this daily backup job here. This runs on all the volumes that are part of the group, of the critical group. Currently we have none because I didn't, I didn't add this previously, but ever since we installed this now, all of the critical volumes are actually tagged with this critical label. So you shouldn't need to come here and add this. They will just be there. And I can also create a backup now. So I can do a full backup for Vaultwarden data. I just kind of click on that, and then it's going to kind of do its thing. Right, it's going to show up here eventually. Yep, there we go. It showed up. It's completed. It's small, right? You don't really have anything stored in the Vaultwarden data, but it's there, and now we should see it in MinIO as well. We should see the Longhorn directory here, and we have like, backups and whatever taken here. Cool. So this is gonna take up backups for you automatically, right? You don't need to kind of worry about it. I did do an update to Grafana as well. So if we go to Grafana and we check the compute overview, let's say for the last 30 minutes, I messed up my network. I was cleaning up my client devices in Unify, and I basically deleted some older kind of clients, I guess, and I thought the nodes that we're using in the cluster are some old nodes that I was running the cluster with. I actually deleted the registration for the clients. So when I booted them up, they got a different IP. Just pretend you don't see this and this, I guess. Oh, right, we didn't update it yet. So I added some dashboards to Grafana. So if we go to observability core, and we just update this as well. I guess I didn't add dashboards to Grafana. I just updated the dashboard in Grafana. So I'm just gonna upgrade that. And now if we refresh this, it should show us a few more details about the cluster. I added this panel here to show kind of how many pods are by state. So, we have 81 total, but this shows you how many are failed, pending, succeeded, and unknown, I guess. So if you have some issues, you can check them here. And I've also added the backup kind of column, I guess, to this volume capacity. I guess volume overview would be better for it, whatever. No, I'll update that at some point. But I added this backup column so you can see if the backup has been completed or not. Authentic branding is not something that I back up by default. I don't do any branding on Authentic. It's just like an empty volume, so I usually don't run backups for that. So I guess for this one, if you do want backups, you will need to kind of add that critical label to it. But right, the nice thing is you can check the state of your backups from here and just make sure that they have been completed before. Now this is part of the backup setup. There's more. There's always more. If we go back to our backup document over here, right, we did this volume backup section. Actually, one thing to note, this CA-cert section, if you're doing cloud-based backups, don't define it. Right, you don't need this. We just need it in our case because the certificate to access the buckets is issued by ourselves. So we need to explicitly tell Longhorn to trust this certificate in order to, connect to the buckets, I guess. The next thing is the database backups. So we just need to define this in our global config or our general config this time. So we can open up atHomeHub gconfig. And we can just add this here in the CNPG backup section. I'm gonna open up the storage one as well, just because I'm using the same credentials to access both of them. So I'm just gonna copy that secret key from there and just put it here. The endpoint URL is correct, right? Change it if you have like a different suffix or whatever. And then the destination path is going to be the S3, colon / and then the bucket name. So I'm going to put this as backups for our case. And then I'm going to say CNPG as my directory, right? Like this, these are the backups from CloudNativePG. I'm not putting them in the same place as with Longhorn. So with that installed, or with that defined, I guess, the next step is to just upgrade the managed service. So we can go to managed core services. This is where we have CloudNativePG, Dragonfly, and ESO, and whatever. So we can check this hub apps core namespace now. This is where things are going to happen. And we can just update this install here. Not core observability. Managed core services here. So I can just do this Helm upgrade. And this is gonna do some things in our cluster. We had a minor patch on CNPG, so we're updating CNPG as well. And we're also moving from our Barman Cloud plugin to the official. And even before it was the official, but it was like not the official chart. It was like I said, the templates here because I wanted to migrate to this. And the chart wasn't available at that point, but now it's available, so we can use the official chart. And it is performing some updates, right? We can see here CloudNativePG, new version. The external secrets is also updated, but we also have this core plugin Barman Cloud updated here. And if we go to all namespaces, we'll see that this also triggers an upgrade to our resources. I guess Dragonfly was updated as well, so we have actually updated the entire stack. So CNPG and Dragonfly is just going to update the resources they managed to the latest version, so we can let it do that. So we kind of what we did now is kind of enable the capability of running backups in CNPG. What we need to do next is actually enable the backups for our existing workloads. So we're going to do this as part of Authentic, just because we do have, and we actually do an upgrade on Authentic now as well. Right, Authentic got updated. So we have, right, SSO Authentic here. This has the kind of, so basically you do with databases, right? Each database kind of manages its own backup, sort of. We enable it globally, and we need to reinstall the app's core kind of stack just to enable this capability of running backups. But now we need to actually reinstall the applications that have a database in order for the database to be aware of the existence of the backup, if that makes sense. So that's why we're going now and upgrading Authentic. We are also upgrading Authentic because there's a new version available of Authentic. So, right, that's also going to happen. But the primary goal of this is to enable backups. So just give this a minute to do its thing. So Authentic actually updated, right? This is kind of crashing a bit, I guess, but it should become healthier, I guess. But the more important part is we can see kind of the DBs of Authentic kind of starting up, and those are now kind of with the third container. So you have Postgres, the Bootstrap controller, and the Barman Cloud plugin. This is the one that actually runs the backups. We can see that in the case of Vaultwarden, where we haven't upgraded yet, we only have two, right? Postgres and the Bootstrap controller. So we're missing this this kind of Barman Cloud plugin, and this is the one that again is going to run our backups. It's important to note that basically with backups enabled, the S3 bucket becomes kind of like an integral part of the database. How Postgres replicates between each one of the, let's say, replicas is using something called write-ahead logs, I guess. And with like S3 enabled, it's using the S3 bucket to kind of publish these write-ahead logs, and then the replicas can just fetch from there and kind of keep themselves in sync like that. Right, this isn't like an active setup. There's not like constant replication. It's just like checkpoints. You can think of it like that. So with that done, we can also try to run a backup for the database. Right, just trigger a manual backup. Let's actually first, before we do that, we can go to the CloudNativePG dashboard, and over here we should see the database details. So we have no last base backup, right? This isn't there, I guess. So what we can do is trigger one ourselves. So we have this command that we can run here. But this command requires the kubectl CNPG plugin. So basically, the people that develop CloudNativePG also developed like a plugin that we can use for managing the cluster, basically. So we can install this. Right, they have like install instructions here. Right, how to install the RPM package, debian package, or Arch Linux. It's available under AUR, so we can just do yay or paru. I have yay on this system, I have paru on my other one, but it's kind of the same thing. So kubectl CNPG is what we want to do. I'm just going to enter for that, and it's going to install it. Okay. So now with that installed, we can do kubectl CNPG commands. And we can start off by just doing a status on our cluster. So AuthenticDB is the cluster. So this kind of gives us a cluster summary, so we can see the PostgreSQL image used, the health, right, if it's healthy or not, how many instances, how many of them are ready. We also have instance details here, so this also tells us which one is the primary, which one is the standby. We don't have any backups, right? Like last successful backup is never, last failed backup is never. These would trigger, I think, at midnight every day. So if we leave it, it is going to back up itself. But what we're going to do is just kind of force it to do a backup now. Let me just put that here. So I'll replace this with authentic. Right, we're going to do this backup for AuthenticDB. So basically, you need a namespace where the cluster is located, and then the cluster name. So I'm going to run this. It's going to create a backup resource. These we can also see in the class in the kind of custom resources in Freelance. So if we go to PostgreSQL, or at your clusters, if you're wondering about the name and the namespace and things like that, you can go to cluster. And you see the names here. So we have AuthenticDB and Vaultwarden DB, and the namespace is here. And if we go to backups, we have this backup that was started. So I guess we'll give it a moment and see if it's going to finish successfully. Hopefully it will. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So it completed. It took 2.5 minutes. Right, it's not the end of the world. This should also get reflected in our dashboard now. So we can see last base backup was 14 seconds ago. This became green, and we have backups in a healthy state. The degrader replication, I don't think I covered this last time, but we only have like 2 nodes. It considers the replication degraded whenever you have less than 3 replicas. So we could increase the number of instances that we have for each of the databases, but I think it's not really worth it. I also don't want to take on kind of managing this dashboard. I could change the conditions and then I can make it like healthy even with like one replica, but I don't think it's worth it, right? So just keep in mind, degraded doesn't mean it's like it's not great. Having more replicas would be better, but 2 is still better. 2 is still good, I guess. Right, and it matches the number of available nodes that we have. Right, if we add another replica, it would be on the controller or the worker. If we add another worker in the future, we can consider increasing the replicas of Postgres to 3 across all of our deployments and just like forget about it. But that's about it, right? That's kind of it. If we go to MinIO now, we can see we have the CNPG folder and the Longhorn folder, right? And now we have backups for all of our workloads. I've also covered the restore process, right? I kind of talk here about what you need to do in order to restore from backup. This is also kind of broken down in steps, and we have like restoring volumes and restoring databases. So this video has gotten kind of long already, just talking about backups. We'll talk about restoring in a different video. If you do want to, like if you start using this and are in a position where you need to restore from backup, I did try to document this to the best of my abilities in this restore document. And I talk here about kind of what needs to be done, right? To kind of scale down the application. You delete the database. Actually, let me go back. You start by installing the application, right? So this assumes that your application is not there in the cluster, like you're restoring on a different cluster. So you install the application fresh. So this is going to create new volumes, new databases. You'll then scale down the application, delete the database, delete the volume, then restore the database. For that, you'll need an object store, a different object store, just because, right, as I mentioned, CNPG uses this for like replication between the replicas. So you cannot reuse the existing directory to resume that, right? You restore from that directory, but then the new cluster kind of becomes operational in a different directory in the bucket. So that's why in here you'd have like CNPG restore instead of CNPG. You'd apply this in the cluster, and then you'll apply the new cluster. And basically, we'll probably talk about, like I'll probably do like a application development video where we can talk about all these different resources that we create. But the difference between the main, like the cluster that would exist and this one is the mention of the recovery. So under Bootstrap, we're bootstrapping from a recovery rather than initializing a new database. And this external cluster here, which points to the backup, right? This basically tells CloudNativePG, hey, you already had a cluster. It's in this location, in this bucket. So just recover from it. And that's kind of how you can think about it. You'll have to replace this for every application. So you can do kind of a find and replace the applications that are created with the application stack. All follow this format for the name and the namespace and whatever. So in this case, you can do a find and replace for memos with authentic or Vaultwarden or Blinko or image or whatever. And replace this with the one mentioned in the values file, right? Like if you connect to this, if you click that, this is an example of image. So under applications in, we can kind of walk through this just so you get a better sense of this. But let's say if you want the image of image, you go to the values here and you have this image name. And this is the one that needs to be replaced here, right? And that's kind of that. And then the data volume is all done from the Longhorn UI, right? You can just go to backups, find the volume that you want to back up, restore the latest, can fill this in. Pay attention to the node tag and this tag, right? We set this up with personal. This is something we did in the foundation video as part of the storage config. And then you kind of click OK, I guess, and that's it. And then the volume is going to get restored. You create this PVPVC. You give it the storage class name. Here you just click on use previous PVC. Give it the storage class name, which is going to be personal, and match the disk and node tag, and then scale up the application. That's it. You're restored, right? Like, that's all you need to do to restore from backup. When you restore on a fresh cluster, it is a bit weird because you already have Vaultwarden, you already have secrets there. It's kind of pointless creating a new Vaultwarden just to kind of temporarily deal with like ESO and create the secrets and whatever. You can define these by hand. So this kind of walks you through that process. You need to create the secret containing the access keys, the endpoint, and the certificate if it's local. And then in backup targets, you can configure the backup manually. And that's going to kind of link Longhorn to the backup target so you can restore the volume. And for CloudNativePG, you just need to create this secret with the access key and secret key. And this object store with the where you already have the backups of the application. But other than that, you just follow the same process that's discussed here. So another long video from me, but all in all, I think spending an hour to just set up your backups and just kind of make sure that all your applications are backed up, and in case of disaster you can recover, that's not too bad, right? And make sure to do this. I cannot stress this enough, right? It is important. I have had issues before where some database kind of got corrupted and then I just had to restore from backup. It's just something that can happen, right? With self-hosting, right? Things can always go wrong for one reason or another. So having backups available just to restore in case something happens is pretty important from my opinion. And yeah. Thanks for watching. I hope this was useful. And in the next one, we'll actually start installing applications. So that's finally, we're getting to that point. So I'll see you in that one.